Good morning, good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Happy Tuesday. Feels like a Monday. Feels like a great day. If you're joining here today for the Claims Recruiter office hours, say hello in the chat. Got some new vibes, got some tunes in the background today. We're going to see how this goes. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Claims Recruiter office hours, episode number 8, with your host, Josh. That's me. Hanging out here, trying to help 100 people get hired in the year 2026, talking all things claims, insurance, exciting stuff. If you're joining, please say hello. Drop something in the chat. We got a whole bunch of questions this week, and we'll be answering questions live. So if you want to know more about claims adjusting, the state of the market, skiing, whatever you want to talk about, we're hanging out here for the next hour. My office is open. My dog is asleep. The rain is falling here in Portland, Oregon, which is a good thing because we need rain because it's been so hot and dry. So thanks so much for joining. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, a kombucha, protein shake. Where's the hat? Curtis, loss ratio from Michigan. Where's the hat? No hat today. Showing off what little hair I have left. I should be wearing a hat though. It's cold. It's 33 degrees right now in Portland, Oregon. Might see snow in the next couple days, which would be a massive disaster for everyone that lives here, but might be kind of fun. Hey, we're getting snow up in the mountains. Big weather systems coming in here this week. Tahoe's getting dumped on. Mount Hood's getting some snow. Colorado's getting some snow. It's a good week to be a skier. Got my hurricane mug here. Hurricane season 2020. Big year for hurricanes. One of the last big years for hurricanes. For being honest, I can't think of a year before 2020 or after 2020 that was bigger. What do we have? Laura, Marco, Omar, Nana, Marco, Laura, Kyle, Josephine, Isais. That was a hurricane that hit the west coast or the east coast. Anyways, here we are, hanging out. Thanks for joining if you're here. This is the Claims Recruiter office hours. I open up my office every Tuesday for 1 hour. We chat, we hang out, we talk all things claims, recruiting, jobs, insurance, careers, whatever you want to talk about. My goal is to help 100 people, help them get jobs in the year 2026, and this is one of the ways that we're doing that. So if you have questions, you want to chat, drop them in the chat. This is live, this is interactive, we can hang out. Another way you can reach out is you can scan this QR code, and that goes directly to my website, new website. Check it out, crewtalentgroup.com. You can ask questions there. So crewtalentgroup.com/office hours. You'll see a link to this where you can watch every Tuesday, and then there's also a little forum you can anonymously ask questions if you got something burning in your heart and you don't want your boss to know that you're looking for a job. You can ask questions that way. Also, on my website, crewtalentgroup.com, if you are a job seeker, I want to hear from you. So there's a little application form to join the Crew Talent Network. We are looking to partner with independent adjusters, looking for field assignments, daily assignments, catastrophe deployments. Also, desk examiners, adjusters looking for similar desk assignments, long-term daily work, file review, catastrophe assignments. We are gearing up for this year, this storm season. This year is going to be big. 2026 is going to be a huge year for independent adjusters. So if you are an independent adjuster who is interested in getting more assignments, reach out to me. We're partnering with companies to help them hire people. So if you're a company that needs to help hiring adjusters, I know of a lot of them. So hit me up. Let's chat. Let's find some people for your team. But that's that. This is the Claims Recruiter office hours. We're hanging out. We'll be here for an hour, drinking our coffee. Without further ado, we can get right into it. So I got some questions that came in via my DMs, emails, people reaching out to me all week. I collect them in a folder. I might talk to people, but I collect them in a folder and I talk about them on the show, because if someone has a question, there's a chance out there that someone else is wondering the same exact thing. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is bring knowledge, help people understand the industry, get off those toxic Facebook forums, bring it somewhere positive, trying to help people out. So yeah, if you got a question out there, chances are someone else wondering the same thing as you. I get a lot of the same questions over and over. So let's talk about it. Let's chat. If you've got opinions on what I'm saying, drop them in the chat. Love to hear other opinions, get different points of views, and we'll just vibe out here for an hour. Got some tunes. I don't know. We'll try it out. Okay, first question today came in via email. Do I need to pay a full Xactimate subscription to practice on my own before an assignment comes in? So, big thing here, what is Xactimate? First off, if you've never heard of Xactimate, Xactimate is a estimating platform software that adjusters use in the field. So if I'm a field adjuster, one of the things I do in my job is after I scope the damages, take measurements, I build basically a replica of the roof, the room, whatever I'm looking at, in a software program called Xactimate. And that's going to tell me how much the materials are going to cost to rebuild. It's got material costs based on zip code. So, you know, if you're in Louisiana, it's going to cost different than if you're in South Dakota than near Portland, Oregon. So Xactimate takes care of all that for you. So it's a pretty cool program. There's a couple other, Catality is Symbility, another program that people use. It depends on the carrier that you work with, but for the most part, Xactimate's kind of the gold standard of estimating platforms that you will use. Most every insurance, I'd say like 80%. There's some that don't. There's some that use other ones. There's some that use different platforms. But most places that I've worked with in the past use either Xactimate or Symbility, one of the big two. And there's a lot of crossover. But Xactimate, really expensive, super expensive. If you're an independent adjuster, you'd know this because you have to pay for your Xactimate subscription every single month. I don't know what the price is now. Someone can tell me in the chat, drop it in there if you know what the price of Xactimate is. It's really expensive. It's not cheap. So if you're learning, or if you're not getting claims, what do? What you do is they used to have a free subscription that you could basically use an online version, and you could just do like a training platform and you can practice on your own. They stopped doing that. So now what you need to do, you don't need to go out and actually purchase the full program. What you need to do is find a reputable certified Xactimate training program, and if you enroll in a training program, they will give you access to like a free trial. So it's not free, right? You have to enroll in a legitimate training program, which is probably also something that you're going to want to do anyways. But it's going to be a lot cheaper than $600. So check out a couple of them that I would recommend. Two of the best in the industry. MoCat is an in-person. They're in Missouri. And then Adjuster TV, Matt Allen, Adjuster TV, absolute OG, like legend of the game. Check him out. A lot of really good online programs, super reputable program. He's got this fast track to deployment program, which is a full training for take someone who's never been in the industry before, get them ready to go on deployment. Or he's also got Xactimate training programs where you'll get things like this, where you'll get access to he's a certified trainer, so you'll get access to practice on your own after that. And then yeah, get your Xactimate level 1, get your Xactimate level 2. If you're a go-getter and really want to go crazy, get your Xactimate level 3 certification. It's awesome. But yeah, especially if you're an independent, you're going to need Xactimate training in order to be successful in this industry, to be on your first deployment. You're not going to have time in the middle of a hurricane or in the middle of a hailstorm to figure out, hey, you're just not going to have time to do that. And so you need to figure that out on your own. The best way to do that is a reputable training program, and then practice over and 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 over. Good coffee today. I don't know what coffee I'm drinking. My wife got it for me. Supermarket. I don't know what it is. It sure is good. Happy Tuesday if you're just joining. Feels like a Monday. Hope you had a good President's Day. I sure did. It is the best President's Day I've ever had. Okay, well, we're keep on rolling here. We got some more questions that came in through my DMs this week that came in via email. If you are listening and you are interested in being an insurance adjuster or interested in careers in insurance, drop your questions in the chat. We're here vibing out, trying to build a little community, answering things live. You're here just hanging out, say hi in the chat. I'm gonna just keep rolling through. Okay, this one I saw online and I wanted to talk about it. Thought it was important. Again, this is more focused for independent adjusters. If you're new, if you don't know what the difference is, independent adjusters are people that work as their own business owner. So a lot of people, when they get claims, they want to go get a job in claims, they go work for a company like Allstate, State Farm, one of the big insurance carriers that you've heard of. And you're an employee of that company, which is an awesome way to start a career as a claims adjuster. And I highly recommend it. It is a great way to do it. They have amazing training programs. They've got, a lot of history at some of those companies. Obviously, they know what they're doing. And so it's a great way to get a career or start a career. But the flip side of that, another whole career opportunity for people in insurance that I don't think a lot of people that aren't in the industry know about is that you can be an independent adjuster. And that means is you basically start your own business, your own company, and then different firms, different companies, carriers, third-party administrators, or independent adjusting firms will send you contract work. So they'll send you singular claims. Sometimes they'll send you 20 at a time. A lot of it's catastrophe-based. And yeah, big hailstorm hits Kansas. They need 150 adjusters for one single company to go work. Chances are that small company in Kansas doesn't have 150 people waiting, and so they hire external businesses, independent adjusting firms that send claims to independent contractors. And it's an awesome way to make a living. A lot of good money in it, but it's also difficult to do. It's not easy. Otherwise, everyone would do it. But yes. So the question, do I need to set up an LLC in order to take assignment as an independent adjuster? Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax professional. This is not legal advice. Just what I've found most people do is, yeah, I would probably recommend getting all that set up just to protect yourself and protect your own assets. Make sure you have, if you are an independent adjuster, you should probably get some form of insurance, like E&O. Definitely something that you want to talk to an insurance agent about. But do you have to do it? Not necessarily. And there's different types of independent adjusting assignments. And so one of the things when you're talking to companies is to ask them the types of assignments that they have, the types of assignments that you're looking for. So one example that would be is a big red company called State Farm employs a whole lot of adjusters every year. And they go through independent firms. And those independent firms actually hire those adjusters as W-2 employees for the duration of that assignment. And so for an assignment like that, if you're going to work for Big Red, if you're going to work for Allstate on a desk assignment, a lot of times they will actually hire you as a W-2. And so it's not necessarily like the traditional independent adjusting model, but you can get jobs like that where you wouldn't necessarily need to set up an LLC for something like that. And so if you're going to take individual claims from a carrier on a contract basis, it's definitely something that I would look into the benefits of doing it. It's really easy to do, to set up an LLC, just a couple forms, and then you can also separate your finances. You can get a bank account, you can get a credit card, things like that. But it's a way to separate your assets and to protect yourself. So it's something you should look into. Also, really important to talk to a tax professional. And this time of year, if you're an independent adjuster, it's tax season. A lot of independents do taxes quarterly. Something also really important to think about if you're taking assignments is if I'm getting paid as a 1099, am I taking taxes out of that money as I receive it? Because traditionally, if you're working as a W-2, working for a company, you get taxes taken out every month, every paycheck. If you're a 1099, they don't take taxes out. And if you don't want that big bill, maybe you're fine with that big bill at the end of the year. But yeah, long story short, talk to a tax professional. Don't listen to me. Find a good tax professional. If you need a referral, hit me up. I know some people who do some good work in the industry. So Yeah, hit me up if you want a referral. But yeah, you really should probably talk to a tax professional, and maybe we'll have one on the show. That'd be an awesome person to have on the show. If you're a tax professional, I want to hop on the show, let me know. Let's set it up. It's tax season. Again, this is the Claims Recruiter office hours on a rainy Tuesday here in Portland, Oregon. Rainy, 33 degrees, which means it's snowing in the mountains, which means that my brain is on a chairlift right now. But we're here. My brain, I'm fully here. I'm ready for this. This is the Claims Recruiter office hours. I open up my office every Tuesday for an hour. We hang out, talk about all things claims, adjusting careers. Got some tunes. We got some Otis McDonald in the background today. Check out Otis McDonald on Instagram. If you never heard of him, he's got some really cool beats like this. Got to see him live a couple times. Music season, right? All the summer concerts are getting dropped. Tickets are on sale. I'm seeing some cool concerts this summer. Let's see. We're gonna see Goose in August. We're gonna see Lettuce in May. We're gonna see Bill Murray. Okay, what else we got? Another one I saw via the Facebook groups and wanted to talk about it because I think it's awesome. I want to transition from a home inspector to an independent adjuster. Background, 13 years inspecting, completed, like we just talked about, the Adjuster TV Fast Track to Deployment Program, 14 state licenses, Xactimate Level 2, and on 12 independent adjusting rosters. Slow cat season last year. Everyone's saying AI is taking our jobs. What specific avenues or roles should I pursue to actually get work? Great question. I think a lot of people are feeling this. I talked to a lot of people that are feeling this right now, right? A lot of people did the right thing to get into the industry last year, took all the training courses, got all ready to rock. And hurricane season never came. And so there's a lot of people that I know that started out last year ready to roll, and that call never came. And yeah, it's slow in the winter, and this is kind of how it goes. Let's see, question here in the chat from Rob. So I've been an IA for 8 years. I always see the designations for large loss and general adjusters, but there doesn't seem to be a true line for those designations. I've heard large loss from 50 to 200,000. Thoughts? So great question, Rob. Good morning. Thanks for joining the show. Yeah, here's kind of what I've seen in my experience as far as general adjusters, large loss, like those types of designations. So first off, we hear these designations: GA, general adjuster, EGA, executive general adjuster, and like, what do those mean exactly? And how do you get those? And what I'll tell you from my experience is those words mean very little to the outside community, but they mean a whole lot to whoever is working at that individual firm. And so, like, it's a title that's given to people that work typically for a firm. There's not like an outside designation that says you're a GA. And frankly, if you're a GA at one firm, does that make you a GA at another firm? Not necessarily. And so it's kind of a weird thing. I find it very odd, but it's very important to firms that kind of give out those designations. So the best way to get something like that is really to work a lot of claims with one firm, and they'll kind of establish you as their large loss to go person. And then kind of down the road, you know, if you work with them, you do a ton of really good work, they'll designate you as a general adjuster. And what general adjuster to me means, the firms that I've worked with, typically means like they can give you any type of claim, any type of wear, and you'll take it, and you're going to be just an absolute pro at it. So a lot of times that means you're getting multiple lines. A lot of times they like to see you having kind of advanced designations like AIC or CPCU, but they can give you a dog bite liability claim on Monday and a 20 building condo claim on Tuesday, and a complicated business interruption claim on Wednesday, and you're going to be able to handle like all those types of lines. And so a lot of times it just takes some time working with one individual firm for them to kind of understand that you're good. As far as large loss, I'm with you too. Like everybody I talk to is different. And I always ask people, they say, oh, I'm a large loss adjuster. I say, okay, so what does that mean? Because large loss means a whole lot of different things to a whole lot of different people. I would say large loss has got to be 200 or 100,000 and up. Typically is like what I would consider large loss, but it just kind of depends on the firm you're working with. Total loss fires, I'd consider a large loss. Yeah, so GA, general adjuster, typically, you work with one firm for an extended period of time and they'll designate you, they'll give you that title. And a lot of times that means that you're their go-to in that area. What I will say is a lot of companies like to give those designations to people that work full-time for them. So I know the traditional independent adjusting model is, hire you as a 1099. From what I've seen is once you get kind of to a certain level, these companies will want to hire you as a full-time adjuster, and that means they're going to just give you all their work. And a lot of independents don't like that because it's there's the tax reasons, I think, is the biggest deterrent. But you got to look at the long haul and the big game, and it's like if they have all the work, you're probably still going to be working on a commission type basis. And so going W-2, you might pay a little bit more in taxes, but in the long term, a lot of times that means they're going to send you, they're their go-to, and they're going to send you every claim they get until you say stop. Or, what happens too is once you get to a certain level, they'll stop sending you the smaller stuff unless you're slow. Like, so you won't get the homeowner stuff. You'll only get the commercial stuff. And they'll send you all their big stuff, and a lot of times it's bigger billers. It means you can make more money. And then the jump from GA to EGA, typically from what I've seen, means executive general adjuster. It means a couple of things. Is one, you're like an account specific adjuster, and so and again, this is part of the reason they'll want to hire you as a W-2 is they kind of want you to do some marketing. And so they'll say, hey, there's a self-insured, and we're kind of in negotiations with this TPA to handle this risk pool, all their claims, and we need to go to on their account. And we want to, we're going to say you're the go-to on the account. You might not handle every claim. You might even have people underneath you, but you're gonna act as the point of contact for that client. You're going to also help us sign new clients because connections you make and people you meet. So there's a little marketing aspect to it, but then you're also going to kind of manage a team of people underneath you as well. And so maybe they sign a school district contract and they get all of the claims for the Denver Public Schools. They're going to assign an EGA on that account, and that person is going to be in charge of every single one of those claims. And that doesn't mean they get every single claim or have to perform every inspection, but they're the go-to. And then a hailstorm hits Denver, Colorado, and all of a sudden there's 25 open claims. Again, they might manage a crew of like general adjusters or just property specialists underneath them, or independents, or however it might look. And so how do you get to that level? A lot of times you got to kind of work your way up with that individual firm. And if you're taking deployment here and there with every other firm, it's going to be hard to establish yourself as the go-to person for that firm. And so you got to kind of partner with a specific firm or two that's going to use you over and over and over for years to kind of understand. And it takes a minute. I mean, I've worked with companies that have designated people as GAs and EGAs, and it takes years sometimes. And sometimes it takes years of being an independent, and then they hire you as a full-time, and then a couple more years, and then you get established. But what I will say is some of the people that I know that have made the most amount of money in this industry, been the most successful, work full-time W-2 jobs for TPAs or independent adjusting firms as full-time adjusters, as GAs, EGAs. It takes a while to build to, and then it also takes, the way that I would view those jobs is you're working for a company, but you're also building your own territory within that company. And a lot of those people that I know that do it, it's like you're the person in Denver, Colorado getting all the claims. They're sending that company claims, but they know you. And you're kind of the marketing draw obviously the company helps and that helps, but you're kind of running your own territory within that business, and then you helping recruit people and helping try and get more sales and trying to bring in more claims, and it's going to be good for you and it's going to be good for the firm. So great question. Thanks for joining, Rob. Happy to have you here. Yeah, that's how you get more work with a firm. You know, you're trying to make them look good. You're trying to make that manager look good. You're trying to make that salesperson look good. And so if they send you that first claim and you've never worked with them before and you knock it out of the park, you save their butt, you drive an extra hour because no one else wanted to take that claim, you take the turds, as they say, they're going to keep sending you work. And you know, I know it's good to kind of diversify and work for different firms, but as you kind of get into the industry and get better and better, it's good to kind of have a couple go-to firms that you work with that send you consistent work. And it just depends where you're at geographically. I know people live in, like, you know, Abilene, Texas, and they got to work for 20 different firms every year because no one's got enough work to keep them all busy. But if you work in a big metropolitan area, it's nice to kind of figure out who's got the jobs, who's got the work, who's got the contract. Try and establish yourself with 2 or 3 of those firms. Diversify a little bit, but you know, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket because you hear the flip side. It's like, oh, I get all my work for firm A and they lost that national contract and now I have no work. So you want to make sure you're getting work for a couple different areas, but to get bigger, better claims, you got to first figure out who's got the work, and then you got to prove yourself there. And sometimes it takes time, takes hours, takes claims, takes years. My watch is telling me to get up and move. Time to be stretching active. So here's your reminder. Drink water. Drink your water. Get up and move. Stay active. I know it's tough for all of us office workers staying active. Get your 10,000 steps in. Drink a gallon of water a day. Stay active. 30 minutes. Move your body. Okay. I want to transition from a home inspector to an IA. 13 years inspecting. Did the fast track to deployment, 14 state licenses, Exactament level 2, and on 12 IA rosters. Slow year last year, not a whole lot of claims. What do I do? Well, you got to figure out kind of for yourself what the best option is, and there's no like one answer to this question. I know there's a lot of people in this boat last year. Got already invested in training, got all ready to go, and the storms never came. And that is an unfortunate truth of being an independent adjuster. Is a lot of this work is dictated based off of catastrophic weather activity, and there's daily overflow stuff. But if you're new, most people cut their teeth on the cat side, and that's how you make connections. That's how you get the jobs and you're first starting out, and that's how you build trust with these firms. And they'll start sending you daily work and other claims and all that. So what do you do if 2025 happens and it's slow and there's no work? Well, the one option you have and could look at it is getting a job as staff. And there's lots of TPAs, carriers, and even independent firms that do hire people as full-time. Your ceiling in terms of money, especially as someone just starting out, is going to be a little bit lower, but you're going to have a base salary and you're going to make a little money. And so you're also going to get some training. You're going to have a team that's going to help you out. You're probably going to go through some sort of like claims college. So that's one route you could take. Is you could say, okay, you know, it's been up and down. I'm going to go get a full-time job, a little bit more stability, but less ceiling in terms of how much money I can make. And you do that's not to be a permanent thing. You can go get a staff job for 2-3 years and then kind of transition back to independent if that's what you want to do. But it's a good option for people who do need an income and are relying on income, and it's been slow. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do, and it sucks to say, is just hurry up and wait. You know, I mean, it's not fun, but it's gonna come around. We've seen some storms this year already. It's typically this time of year not a whole lot of work for your newbie catastrophe adjusters. Just there's not weather storms in the winter time that typically produce a whole lot of weather. I know we had a big freeze in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and that will produce some work, but probably not enough for a brand new adjuster who hasn't been out on work yet. So you're kind of waiting for hail season here. And so What I would do if I was going to do the hurry up and wait option is continue to use this time to hone in your skills, make sure that you're staying active with Xactimate, and also connect with as many people as you possibly can, whether that be adjusters or hiring managers, recruiters, claims managers, team leads, whatever you can do, LinkedIn, Facebook, in-person networking events. And one of the easiest things that independents can do to help their business and to help gain do like marketing is post on LinkedIn. I mean, set a goal. It doesn't have to be every single day, but 3 times a week. Post on LinkedIn. Post about what you're doing, the services that you offer, maybe an article that you read online that you found interesting that relates to independent adjusting or adjusting claims world, whatever. But post online, get visible, so that way these people can start to see your name, to see what you do. Social proof online that you know what you're talking about. And the goal isn't to necessarily get a phone call that day and go get claims. Of course that's the goal, but it doesn't always happen like that. But the goal is just kind of that slow churn marketing, where when that claim does hit, or when that hailstorm does hit, and that claims manager's got a boatload of claims they got to assign, and they've pushed off all their regulars, they've got all their regulars, they sent all their their claims team claims, and I gotta go find another person to go work. They think of you before they think of anybody else. So that's the goal. So one way you can do that costs nothing but time is LinkedIn marketing. Promote yourself, talk to other people, comment on other people's posts, add insightful discussion, and it's easy and it's free. So it's a great way to market yourself. A couple other things that you can do that are really easy and take nothing but time is make sure that your LinkedIn headline is just a really quick, this is who I am and this is what I do. And so when people see you online, they can see that really quickly. But yeah, marketing is a part of the business, and you got to think of it as less of a traditional job and more of a, this is my company now, this is my business. And when you're looking for jobs, you're applying. When you're your own business, it's more of marketing efforts. And so having that information easily accessible, being visible online, building social proof that you're going to be good and you're going to knock it out of the park when they send you that claim, it's all going to help you get claims. And then check in with recruiters, talk to people, network, all that stuff. All right, let's keep rolling. Just vibing out. Got some tunes on today. Some lo-fi beats. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. I hang out here. Let's see, do we get a message in from online? Nope, it's just someone trying to sell me something. Hey, so at least the salespeople are watching the stream. You know what I mean? What are you selling? No, I'm not going to shout you out. I don't want to buy that. But yeah, you can drop questions in the chat here. We'll answer them live. Another way you can do it is you can go to my website, crewtalentgroup.com, scan this QR code, crewtalentgroup.com/office hours. There's a little form there. You can ask questions totally anonymously if you don't want your boss to see that you're looking for work or whatever. My name's Josh. I'll be hanging out here till the top of the hour, and we'll talk all things claims, recruiting, coffee, skiing, whatever. We'll talk about it, hang out. The goal is to help 100 people get jobs in insurance and claims in 2026. That's how we go live every week. So we'll keep rocking. Let's see questions that I got throughout the week. This came into me via email, and I get this a lot. So it's something I want to talk about. It's important to understand, so buckle up for this one. I completed a claim 2 months ago with a firm that I've never worked with before, and I haven't gotten paid yet. What should I do? This is like the biggest fear. Put it in the chat if you've ever not gotten paid on a claim. What'd you do? I'm curious to know. This is one of the things that I think scares people away. Like, people are hesitant to work with new firms sometimes. Getting paid right? It's like, that's why we all do it. Obviously, there's other reasons why we do this, but at the end of the day, we are trying to make money. We're trying to make it happen. So what do you do if you worked a claim 2 months ago and you haven't gotten paid yet? Well, the first thing I will say that I would recommend doing is reaching out to the firm and talking to them. Just say, hey, I worked this claim. Don't be aggressive yet. We're not trying to, but just say like, hey, what's kind of the pay schedule look like? And so one of those things, again, a traditional job, you get a job working for State Farm, they're going to pay you on a pay schedule, you know, your typical W-2 required by law fee structure. If you work as an independent and you're getting claims from a company, they're going to pay you on a different schedule. And so it's important to figure this out before they send you the claim. And there's kind of a way to do that without, you want to kind of toe the line and be professional about it, not be like, you know, hound them. But what I will say in this industry is it takes a minute to get paid sometimes. And that's part of being an independent contractor working as a 1099 is you're not going to get paid in that traditional quick, you know, 2 weeks, you know, 1 week in arrears pay schedule. So how I see most companies doing it, and I think kind of the standard of companies, is they will pay you once they bill for a claim. So when they close the claim in their system and say, client, this is closed, and a lot of times that can take a minute too, depending on the type of claim, the severity, how long it is, the type of company you're working with. But when you go out, you do your inspection, you send that in to the desk adjuster. Most of the time, on a homeowner's claim, you know, it might take one report. Sometimes they'll do additional reports. It just kind of depends. But once that claim is closed and they write a check to their policyholder and they kind of say this is done, not to say it's never can be reopened or there won't be supplements. And again, every company is different on how they do this. Some companies will kind of wait till the end and it'll take a minute. But the way I see most companies pay is once the desk adjuster on the carrier side, who's ever really in charge of making that payout on that claim, says this claim is closed, they'll close it up in their system and they'll send a bill to that carrier. And at that point, it will trigger the payment to you, the adjuster. And so that time period can take a minute. You might do the inspection today and that claim might not be closed for a month or 2 months. And then once it's closed, then they'll issue you the payment in the next pay period. And every company is different. They might pay weekly, they might pay twice a month, they might pay every 2 weeks. It just kind of depends. So you want to know that before you take the claim, what the pay schedule is going to look like. Now, I have seen companies that will wait to pay you as the adjuster until they get paid. And I mean, obviously you want to get paid faster than that. And so that's not really like the gold standard. You know, you'd prefer if a company, you know, would pay when the billing happens. But there are companies that pay it the other way. And I guess I won't take a side on what's right or wrong. But what I will say is, you know, you want to kind of know that coming into it. And especially in that situation, you know, again, it might take 2 months for you to close the claim, they close that, and then it's like 30-day billing period for their carrier. So their carrier might not pay for 30 days. And then that's when it kicks in for you. Like that can take a long time. And so right or wrong, I'm not going to debate that. You know, you can debate it. You can debate it in the comments if you want. But what I will say is it's important to kind of know that coming into it so you have an idea. And so, yeah, what I would do in this situation is I would reach out to the firm that I work with and just be like, hey, what's the pay structure like? When can I expect to get paid on this claim? And they'll tell you. They're going to have a process in place, hopefully. And if they don't, it's going to kind of say some things about the firm. And then you got to decide if you want to keep working there or not. And yeah, if it takes 6 months to get paid on a claim, is that worth it for you? Or do you want to, you know, work with other companies? Another thing I'll see is that if a desk adjuster likes to keep claims open, if it's a big commercial file and they like to keep, you know, it's going to be like, I've seen claims take years to close. And a lot of times in that case, the firms will interim bill. So they'll bill it before the end of the claim. And so, yeah, every firm's a little bit different. It's important for you as an independent to be able to get that information up front, just so you have an expectation. And then you can decide kind of how you want to proceed with it. So, yeah. I mean, I think there's a bad rap because, I've been in this industry long enough, and it's a cash flow industry, and so, when it's good, it's good. When it's slow, it's slow, and so it takes a lot of money, and that's why it's hard to do this business and to start a firm and to go out like that is because it takes a lot of cash on hand, and so. There's certainly been instances where firms have not been able to pay people or gone out of business, and you hear about it online. So if you're wanting to start a firm, it's definitely something you got to take really seriously. You got to understand the financial part of it. Got to understand the risk, cash reserves. Right? That's a claim term, right? But also business term. You got to understand how that works. So, yeah, we've all seen it. We've seen firms, unfortunately, not make it. But yeah, it's definitely something as an independent you want to understand how that works before getting into it, because yeah, it can take a minute sometimes. Some jazz going on. Let's go. Big fan of the jazz music here. If you like jazz, pop it in the chat. Who's your favorite jazz artist? I've been listening to a lot of Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters recently. Headhunters is one of the top all-time albums. I've got it on vinyl downstairs. Just absolutely iconic. Check it out. Chameleon, Watermelon, just absolutely iconic album. This is not that, because that would boot me off Facebook probably. They probably wouldn't like that copyright. So. Okay, well, if you're just joining us, this is Claims Recruiter Office Hours, Road to 100. Trying to help 100 people get jobs in the year 2026. I open up my office every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We hang out and talk all things claims, careers, whatever you want to talk about. Say hi in the chat. Ask questions. You can submit questions online right here on this QR code, which goes to crewtalentgroup.com/office hours. If you're an adjuster, if you're a claims professional looking for your next job, looking for work, looking for assignments, looking for deployments, be sure to sign up. Crew Talent Network, again, on crewtalent.com. If you are working for a firm, you need to hire adjusters, need help this catastrophe season, standing up teams, desk assignments, deployments, If you're trying to expand in your daily operations, you know where to find me. Hit me up. Got lots of incredible adjusters ready for work, looking for firms to work with, and so hit me up. Be happy to connect with some people. Let's work together. Let's keep rocking here. I am thinking about a career into insurance adjusting. Which is a better entry point, auto or property? Great question. That came in through the DMs this week. I'd love to hear some other opinions on this. So if you're watching here live today, I'd be curious to know how you got into the industry, what type of work you started doing, what your opinions might be for this person, what advice you'd give. What I would say is it depends. Like many things in life, it kind of depends on your skills, your background, your history. Like if you're like that last person that sent in a question, or I guess I found them on Facebook, but and you've been a home inspector for 13 years, like that's kind of a natural entry point into property, right? Because you've got that property background. If you're a roofer and you understand roofs really well, and want to switch careers like many roofers do, and it's an awesome entry point into property adjusting, right? Because you understand construction, you understand a little bit about the insurance process. You're probably an expert in product identification and construction, and understand how local building laws and codes work. So that's a great entry point if you have a property background. Now, if you're a mechanic at a car shop, or you work in an auto collision center, or you work in healthcare, auto and liability and that type of work may be a better entry point for you. So if you're totally new and have no background in any of this, I would say look locally as to the companies that are in your area and see kind of what those opportunities might be, but also kind of see which fits your background better. Auto is a great entry point. I know a lot of property people that started out doing auto, and a lot of times there's like very entry-level jobs for someone who's never worked in claims before to go work in an auto center. And a lot of times you'll not start off necessarily being an adjuster. You might start off as like a customer service role. You might start off as a claims processor, but it's a really good way for you to get into the business, to learn kind of how the claims process works as a whole and kind of work your way up, start to get a little understanding of how policies work, how claim payouts happen, kind of that whole process. And so auto is a great entry point for that as well. You can sometimes get even remote jobs that, the pay's not going to be, you're not going to get rich right away, but again, it's an entry point, it's a stepping stone. And so a lot of people I know start out in auto. I know a lot of people that also start out in property. And so it just kind of depends on your skills, where you want to be, what you want to do, the things that you know. You rock from there. What I will say is if you're an adjuster kind of looking to level up and expand your career, make more money, do more cool things, it's a really good idea to work multiple lines. So if you've only worked homeowners property your whole career, go do it. Try and get commercial claims. Do some liability work. Try and take an auto assignment if you can, if you have an opportunity. Obviously, big hurricane hits, you're going to want to do what makes you the most amount of money. But sometimes learning new things can help make you more valuable. And especially as the age of AI and automation comes into play, some of the low severity claim work is going to kind of be handled differently, and they may not require the process that we've seen in the past. And so one of the ways that you can continue to make yourself marketable and get more work and get more claims is to learn some different lines. Like 3-4 years ago, I'd call up a property adjuster and I'd say, hey, I got a slip and fall and I need someone to go out, canvass the area, take photographs of the staircase they fell in, try and get video camera footage from the company if you can, and maybe do a recorded statement. And it was dang near impossible to find a property adjuster who would do a recorded statement. And I think the people that are willing to do that, push outside their comfort zone, learn a new skill like that, it's only going to make you more valuable. And sure, is that claim going to take you a little bit longer and pay a little less than what you're used to? Maybe. But the better you get at it, they're going to start using you as your go-to person. And everybody, for whatever reason, people hate doing recorded statements. So if you can be the recorded statement guy or gal, it's going to get you more work. So something to think about is doing different lines, trying new things. Only going to help. Cool. Question in just came in here. I get my boom. Got a question that just came in here. Could you kindly advise us on how we may connect with adjusters, contractors, insurance carriers to secure project opportunities for Xactimate roof sketch services? How can you connect? So not necessarily an adjusting question here, but an estimating company. So thanks for sending this in. So yeah, how to basically you're looking for remote estimating gigs as a startup company. Is kind of what I expect here. So your goal is to find people who are going to send you roof sketches. So, one, congrats on starting the business. You know, it's an awesome step. I'd say it's a really crowded arena right now. There's a lot of big name companies that do it. Not to say that you can't do it better and you can't find work in there, but it's a very crowded space. Kind of that virtual. So looking for adjusters, contractors, or insurance carriers to send you projects to do Xactimate or Symbility roof sketches. Yeah, I would say you need to rock with some marketing, right? That's probably the biggest thing here, is like getting your marketing in order and becoming a brand name, so people see what you do, see what benefits they have to work with you, and not a bigger company. Like, I mean, there's a lot of really good companies that do this already, and so kind of getting your name out there in a crowded space. Excuse me, I'm burping. But yes, I would say like digital marketing is probably going to be the biggest thing here. Connecting with people locally, connecting with people in your area, but also using the internet, which is free. It just takes time and energy to do. And also just same as like adjusters. It's like getting your marketing in order, posting on LinkedIn, posting on different channels. Personally, I mean, I'm new to this whole business marketing thing, so I'm learning too. One of the things that I've done to learn and to better myself here in this specific area is I joined the Catalyst community with Roll-Off Consulting, and it's a really cool group that we meet once a week, and then also kind of have an online platform where we talk all things digital marketing, digital strategy. And so that's what I would recommend if you're, you know, and again, I'm no expert on business marketing. I'm learning, I'm trying, I'm experimenting. That's part of what I'm doing on this podcast, right? Is like digital marketing, getting my name out there, trying to get adjusters to work with, trying to work with companies as well. But digital marketing, I think, is the future of marketing. I think, you know, you could spend a whole lot of money and go to these conferences. I'm a homebody. I don't like doing that, and it's expensive. It's time consuming. It's flights. It's hotels. It's fees. So, you know, there's 30,000 people that go to PLRB. Awesome conference. Great place to be. Nothing against PLRB. I think it's incredible. But there's 30,000 people there. How many people are on LinkedIn? How many people are on Facebook? How many people are on TikTok? And so, you know, you have to have a strategy that uses everything together, and your business, you know, whatever that might be, it's going to work, you know, using all kinds of different platforms. But I think online marketing is the future. I'm going all in with my business on online marketing because I like the internet. I'm a millennial. I grew up with it. So I think a lot of people growing up today are used to learning on the internet. I think most people, when they go to buy something, whether it be a new pair of shoes or a business they're working with, is going to check the internet. They're going to go look at reviews. They're going to go look at the company. They're going to go to their LinkedIn. They're going to go to their Facebook, their Instagram, whatever it might be. And so if I was a business starting an estimating platform, trying to sell to contractors, adjusters, carriers, I would have a strong online presence. And yeah, for me, I just want to shout out the Catalyst community. Be a great place for adjusters too. It's a really, really awesome place to learn digital marketing strategies, tactics, and also connect with other people who are all kind of in the same boat together. So myself, I'm in there. Curtis was in the chat earlier. He's part of the Catalyst community, but you know, you're with some really awesome content creators, some really awesome digital marketers, some really brilliant minds. Emma and James Roloff are brilliant human beings and just awesome people. And I attribute all of my marketing, obviously I'm doing it, right? But they've been able to really push me in these different directions to do some different things. And so it's a really great place if you're looking to kind of learn some online marketing stuff. So hopefully that answered the question. But yeah, I would go all in on marketing, and then I'll also check out local claims adjusting organizations, find where these people hang out. And so almost every metropolitan area has some sort of claims association. Like Oregon out here, I've got the Oregon Claims Association. I also do some stuff with RIMS, is another good organization. They got an event this Thursday that I'll be at. CLM is another one. Rise is another really fantastic organization that you can join for free, network with people, meet people, a lot of really good educational tools. Check out Rise. Yeah. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Rocking and rolling. Let's see what else we got here. Did this one already. Let's pop this next one up. Licensing. Hit up your boy. If you ever got licensing questions, this is the guy to talk to. I previously moved to a new state. I previously lived in Colorado. It had a Texas DHS. I'm gonna have to take a test. Am I going to have to take the test and everything to get a new home state license approved, or can I just keep my Texas? So this is a really common question. I get this all the time. I just did this. You know, I have my Texas license, and so I moved from Colorado. Very similar. Not to, I don't know where you moved to, but the easiest answer for this is every single state is going to have some sort of licensing authority. Not every single state. I think there's 36, maybe 37 now that Iowa started requiring licenses, and then Pennsylvania is kind of weird. They have like an auto only. So, you know, the numbers, there's about 36 and a half states that require licenses for independent adjusting. And then if you're in one of those 13 states that doesn't, if you live in South Dakota and they don't require an independent adjusting license, it's typically a good idea to still get what's called a designated home state license. But you want to get a license basically so that way if you ever need to get a license in another state, let's say you live in South Dakota, there's no license, and then all of a sudden a big hailstorm happens in Minnesota, which is an hour and a half away, you in a work state, you know, you don't want to have to go through all that licensing process just to get that license for one storm. So you get a designated home state license in Texas or Florida, and then the other states see that as your home state license, which gives you reciprocity to easily get other state licenses. Now, there's a lot of ramble there, but basically, you do want to have a home state license, and if you live in a state like Oregon or a state like Texas or a state like that has a license, even if you have a designated home state license, if you move to a new state that has a licensing authority, you need to change your home state to get that new license. Because there's states like Louisiana where if you try and get, let's say a hurricane happens and you're trying to get a Louisiana license, you apply, you say, hey, I live in Oregon, but I've got a Texas DHS license. They're going to ask you when you apply for that Louisiana license to send you your ID. And if you have an ID from Oregon and you're saying I have a Texas home state license, that is going to red flag. And they're going to say, wait a second, you don't actually have the right license. So you need to be properly licensed. And that means getting your home state license. So what I would do in this situation is I would look at whatever state you move to, find their licensing authority, and try and see what they say. For the most part, what I've seen is it's pretty easy to transfer your home state license. You're not going to have to do all the testing stuff. You're not going to have to go through that. For the most part, there's certain states like Arizona, Hawaii, New York, where you will, California. But for the most part, the other states won't. And you just need to kind of figure out what that process is. And most of them will have a number you can call or an email that you can reach out to and ask them these specific questions. So that's what I did when I was in Oregon and I moved here. I needed licensing answers. I just called up the state office and they answered the question on the phone really quick. And I know it sounds like a lot of these places are super easy to get a hold of, and they want you to be properly licensed. So they'll answer your questions. So yeah, you probably need to go get a new home state license. That process is probably going to be pretty easy. You just got to kind of figure out what you want to do. So if you have specific licensing questions like that, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to kind of walk you through the process on an individual level. I love this stuff. I geek out over this license stuff. But it's really important. Compliance is really important. You don't want to get sued. You want the firms to get sued. I would say the easiest way to get kicked off of a firm forever and ever is to handle a claim without a license. It's a big no-go, and it's going to make the firm look really bad, and so they're probably not going to use you again. So licensing is super important. Not sexy, not fun, but if you got individual questions, reach out to me. I am happy to walk you through it. Firm I used to work with, Eberl Claim Service, go sign up, get on their roster. They've got really, really, really good licensing resources out there for you. And so, little plug for them. Another place that you can get really good licensing information just by joining their firm. And yeah, it's really important. Let's see. I got some more questions here. I'm going to keep rolling. I know I opened up for an hour, but we'll keep going here. Why not? Let's see. Let's see here. Okay. Do insurance companies ever hire people with no experience? Yes. 100%. Yep. And you're in the right spot if you ask this question. So this came in my LinkedIn DM. Someone was wondering this, and so I thought I'd answer it on the show. But yeah, is it easy to get a job in an insurance company with no experience? Not necessarily. You got to position yourself the right way. You got to start doing some things to make yourself marketable. The job market right now is in kind of a lull. It will really depend on where you live. What I will say is I get a lot of people in my DM to say I have no experience. I want to get a remote job in insurance. Can you help me? And that's going to be harder. Is it impossible? No. Is it going to be hard? Yes. What I will say is if you have no experience at all, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find work if you're willing to go to an office. Just the reality of it. Is it going to be 5 days a week? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it's going to help you. So yeah, it's a career that you can definitely get a job in with no experience. I would look for claims trainee roles, and there's a lot of really large companies that have these types of roles. Any of the ones that you go online and you're watching football and you see the commercials, chances are they've got a very robust training program for people that are entering the industry. Now, it's good to have a little bit of employment background before this. They know that you're used to having a job. If you come from a background, I would say some of the backgrounds of people that I see most successful in this industry would be military, law enforcement, firefighters. I would say teachers do really well in this industry. So if you're a teacher and you're sick of teaching little kids, don't blame you. You have the most important job ever. But if you're looking for a new career, hit me up. I've seen a lot of teachers do really well in this field. I think really because if you can teach other people, if you understand how like adult learning, you're going to learn new things. But just being able to demonstrate that you can learn new things as a teacher is good. Construction, mitigation, water people do really well. On the auto side, you've got people that come in from auto collision centers, mechanic background, truck drivers, semi-truck drivers, make really good heavy equipment, adjusters, understand liability, understand how semis are built, what it takes to get them put back together, understand all that stuff. So those type of people do really well. Healthcare professionals coming over and doing workers' comp or doing liability, doing auto injury. So having some sort of background in a similar field is going to help kind of propel you into this industry. Can you do it with absolutely no experience, anything relevant? Yeah, you probably can. It's going to be difficult, and you're going to have to do some things to kind of make yourself marketable, like get a license, maybe do some training, shadow somebody, network locally, find a need. But yeah, check out the big companies. Don't sleep on the small companies too. Small mutual companies, small independent adjusting firms. That's a good place to start too, even if they don't have a robust training program. If they have a need, they may be willing to take on someone new for a couple months for you to try to train up and learn and then work underneath one of their more established adjusters. It's going to depend on where you live, what their need is locally, all that. But don't sleep on the small companies. Don't sleep on the mutuals. Don't sleep on the mom and pop IA firms too. Also great places to work and learn this industry. Yeah. Biggest thing in this industry is you gotta be willing to do the hard stuff, and that's just life too. You gotta be willing to do the hard stuff, and it's not an easy job. And you see online, all you need is a ladder, and you can go make 6 figures, take this training class, and you're gonna make 100K. And There are people that do that, but I will say is not everyone with a ladder is going to go make 100K. You got to have an extremely high work ethic. You got to be an independent worker. You have to be willing to do the hard things. And it's a hard career. It's a rewarding career. It can be highly profitable for a lot of people, but it's not easy. And yeah. Couple more. Gotta change the name. It's Claims Recruiter Office Hours, because we're going over the hour. You're still with us. Thanks for joining. It's been a fun little Tuesday so far. We're vibing out, answering questions live. If you got questions, drop in the chat, send them on via the QR code. Head over to crewtalentgroup.com, join the Crew Talent Network. If you're looking for jobs, looking for opportunities, want to get deployed. Let's see. I'm a top performing senior adjuster and I want to move into management. My company only promotes from the outside. How do I get my first management roles if I have no direct reports on my resume? Ooh, I could do an hour on this. Maybe I should. Maybe in the future I'll do an hour on this. So I'll try and keep this brief. This is what I will say in my HR background, seeing people, being a part of companies that hire and promote people, this industry, other industries too. If you are good at your job as an individual contributor, and that means you basically don't have direct reports, you're an adjuster, you're a recruiter, an individual contributor is someone that has an individual task-based work, and you're not responsible for other people's work, you're responsible for your own work. You may be the best individual contributor of all time. You may be the best recruiter, the best adjuster, the best whatever. Insert any job title in there, developer, whatever you might want to be. That does not mean that you are going to be a good manager. And I say that not to dissuade you or to be mean, but just from a talent analytical perspective of someone that hires people and is a part of these interviews and is a part of these conversations, just because you're an amazing adjuster does not mean that you will be a good manager. And so you need to start developing the skills that it takes to be a manager, a team lead, whatever that might be. And a couple things you can do to do that is have a conversation with your supervisor about it. And one of the things I will say is if you're an independent adjuster and you're trying to go from an IA role to a management role, it's going to be difficult for you, and there's probably going to need to be a step in between there. You're probably going to need to take a full-time job working for a carrier and kind of prove yourself in that side, or take like a file review position and for a firm and kind of move up. That's a really good entry kind of into management, where you're not directly managing people at first, but there's like a pathway. And so I talk with a lot of people who want to go from like, hey, I'm a field IA and I want to go manage people, and that's a harder jump to do. And so I'm not saying you can't do it. What I'm saying is you need to develop those skills and then prove to whoever your future employer might be that you have those skills. And so one of the ways you can do that before you get promoted is you need to start building your resume for those positions. So if you're at a carrier and you're an adjuster and you've been killing it and you want to move into a manager role, think about what a manager does and start trying to take some of those things off your manager's plate, right? So easy things you can do: training, right? When a new person starts, who's training them? So if you're training all the new people and you're helping mentor those new people, those are kind of more management type tasks that you can take on and start building your resume. So you need to build your resume to have some of the skills and the things that a manager needs to do. And just because you can handle big claims doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager. So try and tailor your resume and try to build those skills to kind of fill those shoes. So kind of think of just start being a team lead. Just show up to work tomorrow and pretend you're a team lead. And obviously you don't want to piss anybody off, so you want to have some conversations, but start trying to take on the training. Okay, if a claim gets escalated and all your coworkers are asking you what to do, make sure your manager knows, like, hey, I'm doing these things, I'm helping these people with their escalated files, because that's a manager task and you're taking something off their plate. If if you're not escalating files and you're just, you know, if your workflow is, hey, send it to your manager, the manager's going to reach out to the carrier, figure out how it goes back to you. See if you can be that intermediary and start having those conversations. Start taking care of those escalated files. When people have questions, see if they'll start. You can kind of start aiming that towards you, so you can help people out. And those are all tasks that managers do that you can do as an individual contributor and kind of build your resume. See if you can build yourself into kind of a more team lead type role. And the other thing is to have this conversation early with your manager. Say, hey, I love working here. Maybe it's your review time. You say, I love working here. It's been an awesome career for me. My goal is in 2 to 3 years, I want to move into like a team lead or manager type position. I know there's not a ton of movement that happens right now, so I'm not trying to take your job or whatever, but what can I do? What can I take off your plate to help move into that role? You know, what can I do? If I were to get promoted here, like what skills, what things would you be looking for me to learn or to accomplish in order to be considered for these roles? And what's a pathway for me to start getting there? And those are some of the conversations you can start having to help you build you up into that position. And the other thing I will say is there are companies out there that there's not a whole lot of management movement. And if you're in one of those companies, it may be time to think about, is a lateral move into a bigger company or a different type of company where it's going to be a lateral move and maybe less or more money, but has more long-term potential. Is that going to benefit me? And maybe you take a chance on a smaller company that's growing really fast, or a newer company where you can come in, make an immediate difference as an individual contributor, can take on some bigger assignments, some bigger things, if your current company doesn't have that pathway. So this is definitely a situation where a lateral move might make sense, but you really want to vet that future opportunity to make sure it aligns with your goals and have those conversations early. Okay. Last question I've got today. If you're still kicking, still rocking with us, thanks so much. This has been good Tuesday for me. Man, I'm having a great time. We do this every Tuesday for an hour and some change. We hang out, we talk all things claims, careers, snow, live music, weather, hiking, skiing, whatever I want to talk about, man, I talk about it. We hang out, living out some tunes. Okay, I've had 3 jobs the last years, 2 layoffs, 1 toxic environment. How do I address job hopping? Question in an interview without sounding like a massive red flag. So, great question. This happens to people. There's been a lot of layoffs in the last 2 years in the insurance industry. A lot of companies restructuring. A lot of companies hiring too. So I'm not just saying it's doom and gloom. I'm just saying it happens, right? We've seen it. California and Florida are 2 examples where the insurance regulation environments have gone wacky, and the whole Florida teams have been laid off because the company stops writing in that area, or the company, is reanalyzing the risk, and things like that. So layoffs happen. I think everybody in the industry understands that it's not personal, and so if you're applying to a job, one of the things I would do is to get ahead of it early. And so if you reach out to me, I'll send you a resume template. But one of the things I really like on resumes, when people put a description of the company, and if you were laid off due to a RIF, like, you can put that in the description. You can say a little 1 to 2 sentences about the company and what they do. And then if you have like if you moved home to take care of a sick relative and were off work for a year, you can put it in there really briefly. You don't have to go super in detail, but same with a RIF. Like, you can just get ahead of it and say, job ended as reduction in force. The company laid off 20% of their staff, and people understand that. To address the toxic environment, you're going to get asked about it in your interview, certainly, and you're going to have to come up with something to say. And what I'll say is, you may have had the worst boss of all time, but it's not going to reflect well on you if you say that. And so try and be extremely objective about what happened, and keep it brief. I took this job with these expectations, the scope of duties drastically changed in the first 2 months, and I realized it wasn't a fit. Like, you don't have to go super in detail. You don't have to trash your manager. You don't have to trash your old boss, but you can just objectively speak about it in 1 to 2 sentences and kind of put it to bed. I would say that if you're doing kind of the job hopping thing where you've worked a lot of different companies, one of the concerns the company is likely going to have is, are you going to leave this company after a year or two? And so you really want to pick that next opportunity and be very intentional about it, because you do want to stay at a company for a little bit of time, probably at that point. If you're, and I understand reductions in force, that you can't predict that, but you can vet out a little bit more about a company. And I've done this too. Like, I've worked at a company that ended up not being a super great fit for me, and I left pretty quickly. And hand up, like, I should have vetted it out more. I should have understood the opportunity. I should have vetted out the team I was working with, and I take full responsibility for that. And honestly, it's fine company. Just wasn't a fit for me at that time in my career. But then I worked, the next job I worked for a couple of years. And so you got to make sure you're doing the best thing to put your best foot forward and want to make yourself marketable. And so trying staying at a company for more than a year or two, after a couple of these is probably a good idea. But I would say one of the biggest kind of turn-offs for me as a recruiter is if I get an interview and someone just starts trashing their company. Like, it's the whole ex-girlfriend analogy, right? If you have all these horrible ex-girlfriends and you're talking on dates about your ex-girlfriends to your current date, it's not going to look good. And the same analogy is like interviews. We don't want to hear about how horrible all your old bosses are, because maybe the problem's you. Just going to go through my head. So, short, objective, nip it in the bud. Don't go crazy on it. You don't have to go and practice in a mirror. Practice that response they're going to ask you. If you're still here, we've made it to the end. 1 hour and 20. 1 hour and 19 minutes and 28 seconds to be exact right now. Appreciate you joining. This has been the Claims Recruiter Office Hours. I open up my office every Tuesday for 1 hour. We hang out, we vibe, we listen to some lo-fi hip-hop beats, and we chill, talk about all things claims, adjusting, whatever we want to talk about. You got questions, you can drop them in the chat. You can also go to crewtalentgroup.com/office hours, and I'll answer your questions live here on the live stream. If you're an adjuster looking for work, if you're looking for your next full-time opportunity, or if you're an independent looking for deployment opportunities, daily claim work, desk opportunities, join the Crew Talent Network, crewtalentgroup.com. If you're a company out there looking for adjuster talent, hit your boy up. Lots of really good people looking for work. Lots of incredible adjusters ready to handle your claims. You know where to find me. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great rest of your week. Let's get some snow. Let's get Mount Hood just like covered in snow. Lots of powder. Going to Colorado in a week. Let's get some snow out there too. Good vibes, everybody. Peace.